Are you recording this, John?
From the majestic climes of Malibu, California, welcome to the GCN show.
Welcome to the GCN show, brought to you by Wiggle.
This week, we find out just how much is down to the bike and how much is down to the rider.
We do, because Si foolishly took on Chris Opie in a sprint to find out how much of a lack of talent you can make up.
Well, you say foolish, Dan. It could be a masterstroke. Anyway, we also have Alberto Contador's predictions, a war on cars in Amsterdam, and the ultimate bike cheat.
This week in the world of cycling, we learned that Victor Campenaerts is looking seriously fast as he prepares to take on the world hour record in Aguascalientes.
Yeah, Luis Lemus has sent us this video, and he does look super fast, doesn't he? His bike actually is going to be featured in the tech show this week. Campenaerts is going to be hoping it is about the bike, as well as the rider, I'd have thought.
He'll also be hoping to get more motivation like he does in that video, but unfortunately for him, he won't be. We also learned this week that Ghent-Wevelgem, despite being known as a Sprinters Classic, was one of the hardest races of the year. Alexander Kristoff had a normalised power of 345 watts for 5.5 hours en route to victory.
That's some big power, isn't it? Right, and lastly this week, have we finally learned just how much is bike and how much is the rider?
I am more than happy to admit that Chris is a vastly superior sprinter to me. But whilst we've been out filming cheap bike to superbike, we started wondering, didn't we, whether or not the difference between these two bikes is big enough to offset the difference between me and Chris. Can I ride the superbike, your Orbea Orca Aero, and outsprint you on our cheap, now mid-range bike?
Yeah, and this is where I start to get a little bit nervous because I've already done a few accelerations on this bike today, so I know exactly how it feels. But more than that, I might actually get out sprinted by my own bike, which would be a bit of a thing.
It would, wouldn't it? Well, worse than that, mate. If you got out sprinted by me, I think you'd be on a very small list of people that have ever been out sprinted by me.
I've got that final lap feeling in my chest.
Do you reckon the difference between these two bikes is enough to compensate for the 500 watts that I have less than you?
Yeah, I think it depends on a few things. The starting speed of the sprint being one. I actually think the faster the start of the sprint, the more chance I have on this, despite that being definitely very aero, is that we're going to find out, aren't we? I mean, I'm nervous. Like the way I'm speaking, you can probably tell.
Oh yeah, we can all tell. You got an aero helmet on, though?
But yes.
Right, come on then. Let's do it.
Okay.
Chris?
Yeah.
You got any tips?
It's all in the core.
Yeah?
And the legs.
3, 2, 1, go! Oh, come on, you're Honestly, I'll take that. That's as close as I've ever been in a sprint to someone of the calibre of Chris. It's like a mini victory. It's just I lost.
I quite enjoyed that in a weird way. Like, when my muscles are burning, it feels good.
Well, hats off to you, mate. You have successfully overcome an enormous, frankly, mechanical deficit to absolutely annihilate me.
Never underestimate a motivated individual.
Yeah, it certainly makes you think though, doesn't it, about just how much is bike and how much is rider. In this case, you've got an extra 500 watts of sprinting power at your disposal, and that, I guess, is enough to offset the difference here. But food for thought.
Back to the studio?
Back to the studio.
So in conclusion, Si, being on a superbike meant that you still weren't even close to where Opie was.
What do you mean not even close? That was close. I mean, genuinely.
Well, you could still see him, I guess.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I also have only myself to blame, because basically when we were out filming cheap bike to superbike and doing all the tests that morning, that Orbea Orca Aero felt so much faster in the flat time trial that I was thinking to myself, if ever there was a time when I was going to be able to out sprint a sprinter, it was that.
I mean, but despite feeling fast, the fact that you thought it might make up for the 500 watt peak power difference between the two of you.
I mean, in the cold, hard light of day, I'll admit an extra 50% from your bike would be going some. But anyway,
I think to be fair, like at slower speeds, the bike might make a bit more of a difference. But at the end of the day, it's always the legs that do the bulk of the talking.
It is indeed. A superbike feels faster, is faster, but ultimately you have to provide the engine, don't you? Really? I mean, put it this way. If you and I rode superbikes and Peter Sagan rode a unicycle, you'd still know who to predict for the win, wouldn't you? And,
or who would be the better bike handler still.
Yeah, and he's not in the room with us, is he?
It's time now for our weekly GCN inspiration, where we pick our 3 favourite photos that you've sent us over the last week to give you one of 3 wiggle voucher amounts. £100 for first in vouchers, second place nets you £75, and third gets you 50. 2 ways to enter. GCN inspiration is the hashtag over on Instagram, or there's an uploader and a link to that in the description just down below. In third place this I'm not going to say no particular order this week, so I could really took the mick last time. In third place, it's this one from
Micah! There we go. This is taken just outside Calpe in Spain, an area we know quite well actually, because the riding is amazing, but that photo is super cool, isn't it? He said, getting into cycling is very nice when you live in Altea with so many amazing climbs. True that.
Not making us jealous in any way whatsoever. Although we've had some decent weather in the UK since we've been back from Europe, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
I've been out riding out of choice, Si. Didn't take any inspirational photos, but I have been out on my bike. Next up, in second place and getting £75 of vouchers is Ashik on a Java bike over in the UAE at Al Ain. Which is a place that I think I've ridden before. It was very, very hot when I was over there, but that looks like a nice early morning group ride.
It does. That looks cool. That is a cool photo, isn't it? Nice group ride out through the desert just before it gets super hot. That inspires me. That inspires me. But there can only be one winner this week, and funnily enough, first place is coming up now.
It is, yeah, so in an order. And the first place and £100 winner is Grumpy. Presumably not the real name, but he said summer rides in India are not very pleasant given the soaring temperature we face.
Sounds
but
pretty
one
grumpy
of the
to me.
ways to make it interesting is to take the off-road and get lost in one of the in many green patches around the city and discovering unusual locations. And that's a cracking photo.
It is a cracking photo, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. I'd say it's
Gritty.
Well, there's something quite inspirational about the story behind that, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, as we said, week in, week out, not everyone lives in an amazing cycling paradise, but you can find great riding anywhere.
Yeah, and so capture a great photo, which is, I think, what that is.
There we go. A worthy winner of £100 of wiggle vouchers. As Dan said, get stuck in either using the hashtag GCN Inspiration on Instagram or using the uploader for your chance to win and our chance to look at your amazing photos.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
We're going to start cycling shorts this week with a little bit of sad news at our end, because unfortunately Emma has decided that she is going to put her long list of qualifications to good use and actually take up a job in engineering close to her home in Switzerland.
It's sad news for us. Fortunately though, she is still going to find the time to do the occasional guest appearance for certain videos, so she will not be disappearing from your screens completely, which is very good news. But of course, we want to firstly thank her for everything she's done for us over the last year and also wish her all the best in her new career.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, it probably didn't escape your notice that last week's show was filmed in front of a live audience, which was pretty nerve-wracking.
It was, yeah. In fact, some of the feedback we got directly after from the audience was that we looked nervous, and there was a good reason for that.
It was indeed. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we had to film the show on Thursday, which is a little bit earlier than normal, which meant that we didn't get to talk about Milan-San Remo because it hadn't actually happened yet. Now, without wishing to go into the ins and outs of it, we still want to give ourselves the opportunity to talk about Nicolo Bonifazio's unbelievable descent off the Cipressa.
Yeah, here it is again. It really was sort of heart in your mouth stuff.
My word.
We were watching with the studio audience on that Saturday, weren't we? And everybody went,
whoa!
It's like a deep intake of breath. It's been a long time since I've seen somebody take that many risks down a descent. But what we liked just as much as watching him descend was the fact that he soon after the race put a statement out.
He did, to the effect that please do not try this at home, which seems like good advice to us, because firstly, he's a pro bike rider, and therefore, well, he knows how to handle his bike at those kind of speeds. But secondly, and most importantly, he's doing it on closed roads. That's the big one, isn't it?
And he also lives nearby, so he knows them like the back of his hands too. Right, before we finish with racing, I want to talk Alberto Contador. Now, you would have seen that Ollie was over in Taipei at the bike show recently. He's put out 3 cool videos on the tech channel already, so watch them if you haven't done so. This is what his predictions are for the Giro d'Italia.
I'm joined by multiple Grand Tour champion Alberto Contador. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the up-and-coming Giro d'Italia this year and who you think is going to win.
Well, yeah, I think that for the Giro will be a great year because there's many strong riders, many favorites. If Dumoulin go there, is because have confidence. The last year he was very close, in my opinion. He do a little mistake in the last stage when Froome attacked for a long time. I think if he concentrates for try to do another time trial alone behind, maybe he can save the Giro.
Yeah.
And one rider that for me is incredible and I don't know where will be the limit is Egan Bernal. Egan Bernal is a very young rider, but he has an incredible experience. He has, with the tension, with the pressure, with the responsibility, for him it's not a problem. And I think it's maybe the 2 big favorites.
Interesting stuff there, isn't it? And now, whilst we're on the subject of predictions, can we allow ourselves a little mini high five? Because we kind of almost predicted Alaphilippe would win Milan-San Remo, didn't we?
Well, I think we said he might have won Milan-San Remo by the time that our viewers watch the show, which I'm not sure qualifies as a fully blown prediction, does it?
Wow, semantics, mate. I think we got it right.
Well, if that's the case, I'm going to say Mathieu van der Poel might win a Tour of Flanders on Sunday.
I think Bob Jungels, but I quite like Valverde to win.
Would you? Well, who knows? One of us might be right.
We might indeed. We've got a Tour of Flanders preview show coming up, haven't we? Actually, this week. So make sure you check that out.
Always my favourite preview show of the year.
Well, yeah, we get to look at the race in depth, and we also get to drink Belgian beer. So brilliant. Any excuse. Right then, changing the subject completely now to a bit of research, a bit of science. Researchers at the Monash University have published a study in Transportation Research Part F, Traffic Behaviour and Psychology.
Catchy.
Yeah,
I can't believe you remembered that.
One of our favourites. Oh mate, I read it every night. Anyway, the study is frankly terrifying, isn't it? Because half the people they surveyed said that they view cyclists as less than fully human.
Which is worrying, as you say, but it gets even more worrying than that when you read on further, doesn't it? Because the researchers also found that the dehumanisation measures showed a significant correlation with the self-reported aggression towards cyclists.
Yeah, so basically, you view a cyclist as less than human and therefore you're more likely to basically endanger their life, which is frankly terrifying. And I don't know what we do with that, to be honest with you. Do you try and make yourself look more human? Take your helmet off, take your lycra off, to be replaced by Hank-style chinos, maybe?
You can be replaced by something.
Yeah, I don't know. Or move to Amsterdam, where they're happily waging a war on cars, apparently, by removing 1,500 parking spaces each year for the next 5 years and replacing them with trees and bike parking. That's a bit of nugget of information. It's according to CityLab website.
You've got to love the Netherlands when it comes to making provisions for us cyclists.
That's it, yeah.
Moving on now to talk of marathons.
What?
Yes, bear with me here. This was an article that I saw on the Independent website, which talked about an as yet unnamed lady who has been banned from racing marathons for life because she was caught cheating at the Juju International Marathon by riding a bike for some of it.
No. I mean, she like on world record pace with that?
No, it took her 5 hours and 38 minutes still to complete it, and apparently the officials were telling her multiple times to dismount from the bike, but she refused.
Oh, that's amazing. That's like your style of cheating, isn't it? Right, now from a runner that got on a bike to a biker that got on a treadmill. This is going a little bit off topic, but we do need to show you because it's absolutely hilarious. This is EMBN's Steve Jones running on a treadmill for the GCN show last week, and it's genius.
Further forward, please.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Okay. Hello. Oh, get out of here.
I don't know how many times I've watched that. It still makes me burst out with laughter. How can you get to over 50 years of age and never have learned how to run?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I mean, to be fair though, you got to nearly 40 and you couldn't say Bogota or Ottawa.
Well, yeah, that's true. I'll give you that. I was about 35 when you taught me.
Bogota. Ottawa.
Yes, well, yeah, like I said, I'll give you that one. Anyway, we were talking about the Cobble Classics a little bit earlier in Cycling Shorts. We have got Dwarsdorf Landeren coming up for you in terms of highlights on Facebook on Wednesday, and in the big one, the Tour of Flanders on Sunday, before the following big one, which is Paris-Roubaix the following Sunday.
Yes.
But we now, because we've got the Cobble Classics, have got a limited edition t-shirt that is available at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, which I've been sporting throughout this show. So if you'd like to get your hands on one, you know where it's going. There's a link to the shop in the description down below.
Making it look very cool indeed. It's slightly ironic that it's like red wine coloured, but then I don't suppose you'd want a beer coloured t-shirt, would you? It's like kind of like brown,
yellow.
Yeah.
No, I think I could probably carry it off. It's time now for Hack /bodge of the week. We think we know what you like now that we had a studio audience. That was the biggest uproar was about the gaffer taped disc wheel, wasn't it?
That's right, that's right. So more gaffer tape disc wheels, please.
Yeah,
that was great.
Please send them in using the uploader below and the hashtag GCN Hack on social media.
Yeah, I've a sneaking suspicion though that this first one is going to be great. How do you dry your cycling shoes? Have any of you stuck it in a terrarium? That's right, look at that. A pair of physique shoes sharing a nice warm cozy space with Rocky the Lizard.
Poor Lizard's got to smell those. Have you got one of these at home? You could put your t-shirts in there, couldn't you?
Well, I wonder whether they might combust under those lights. And anyway.
Or whether you'd come back to not having a lizard
Dead
anymore
lizard, yeah.
after an hour.
Yeah.
Anyway, bodge.
Yeah, bodge.
Well, okay. Next up, we have this that has come in from P. Is the author's name.
Thanks, P.
I tweaked my earlier submission of the bike clean stand out of an old hub and a sawhorse. With this version of a bike stand, the rear wheel can stay on, and it's much more useful as a bike repair stand. And that is a hack.
Nice, yeah, that
Neat
looks...
and tidy and does the job.
Yeah, I'm into that, Dan. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a grade A hack from us. Right, this one sent in by Adrian. Dress shoes with cleats on and BMX handlebars will transform a gentleman into a time trialist on a city bike. There you go. Also, presumably, it would transform a gentleman into a tap dancer because if you've got metal cleats stuck on the bottom of a pair of dress shoes,
recess?
everywhere you walk, normally dress shoes don't have enough room to recess
Well,
it. You literally like...
Well, maybe he likes people to know that he's coming.
Is it Dick Van Dyke that's a famous tap dancer?
It might well have been.
Go back a bit.
Amongst other famous
Anyway,
tap
maybe you
dancers.
look like Dick Van Dyke with
Right.
those.
Bodge. Next up,
Yeah, bodge.
a hack before we even look at it.
Wow,
This-
yeah.
This one from Technic2 over on Instagram. So what he has done here is he has removed that very long piece of outer cable to the rear derailleur, which we think could have been slightly shorter.
I was going to say, it
anyway.
looks excessively long to my mind.
But he
anyway.
has done a very neat job of putting what we used to call a cog hog?
A
Was it
cog
by
hog,
Crud,
yeah.
Back in our mountain bike days, 20 years or so
20
ago.
years
This was
ago.
a genuine product, but he's made one himself, and that is amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we said, I don't think personally that rear derailleur needs it. But what's amazing is that you look at that, and it's hard to work out which bit has been hacked on and which bit's actually real life derailleur.
It's been brilliantly done.
It has, yeah. I'd be interested to know whether it actually works.
Must do. So neat, it couldn't possibly not work. Hack.
Another massive generalisation that all hacks and bodging. Well, if it looks neat, it must be amazing.
Yeah.
Right, what about this one then? Does that look neat, Dan?
Yes, well this has come from the Loving Doc over on Instagram, who has upgraded Evoc bike bag with an extra pair of wheels that have been put onto busted plastic runners underneath the bike bag. And that again for me is a hack, because the thing with those types of bike bags, you still carry half the weight around the airport, don't
Yeah,
you?
that's
Whereas
true,
with that,
actually.
you can just wheel it around, it's nice and easy.
With little pigeon arms, then you do get a bit tired walking around. So yeah, no, that looks like a hack to me.
Yeah. I'm so skinny I sort of topple to one side if I have to pick a bike bag up, even though the bike's really light.
Right then, last one, we got this sent in from Lino Chebe. I found this today, I was confused but amazed. A wooden chain guard. That's pretty hipster, isn't it? I like it. I mean, I wonder what the weight of wood is compared to like a metallic or a carbon alternative.
Well, it depends on the type of wood, presumably. It looks like an MDF to me.
Yeah, I mean, because wood is the original carbon fibre, isn't it really?
Is it?
Like, well, fibres glued together with like resin.
Yeah, hack
There
and
we
bodge.
go. It's probably a bodge, isn't it?
Yeah, bodge. We'll end on a bodge. Right, don't forget to keep sending your hacks and bodges in. As mentioned, it's the uploader, the link to which is in the description below, and the hashtag is GCN Hack.
It's time now for our weekly caption competition. We give you a photo and you have to caption it. This was last week's photo of Sam Oman on the podium.
Mention the prize, otherwise I look stupid holding this.
Sorry mate, I left you hanging there. You can win a GCN Camelback water bottle if you have the best caption.
Carry on.
Thanks. The best caption from last week, well, honorary mention, I think, to Past Left TV, who said, "Oh man, it's gonna blow."
That's about our sort of level, isn't it?
It is,
But
pretty
on
much,
the next level is the winner, who is PobG, who said, "Caption, don't worry, that happens to most people their first time." Genius.
Yeah,
this will be winging its way to you just as soon as you give us your address as a message over on Facebook.
Right then, this week's photo is this one from the E3 Bink Bank Classic. Dan, do you want to get us started?
Whilst you're down there, could you put it in my big ring? It's all right, isn't it?
Yes, not bad that.
Well, if you can do better than that, leave your captions in the comments section just down below.
I reckon you can take that bottle home to this week. So. Before we get on to what is coming up on the channel over the next 7 days, our traditional look back over some of the amazing comments that you've been leaving under the previous 7 days videos, starting with how fit did Dan get? How fit did Dan get?
That's easy for you to say, mate.
In 10 weeks. Some great comments under that, because it was a cracking video, a cracking effort as well, mate. But Hair Absurd said, "From now on, Dan shall be known as the horse."
Yeah, because I used to possess 1 horsepower back in the day, Si. I like the comment underneath though from Arthur J. He has the hair of a handsome stallion.
Yeah, no one's arguing with that, but I do take exception to this from David Raynham. "I've been calling him that since I saw the photo of him in his Cervelo skin suit." We know you're lying, David.
Others have called me a one-trick pony. Velo Rider KM under KM, so it sounds like that same video. But Chris Opie with the ice, genuine good lad right there, and you are spot on. He is always a genuinely good lad. Somebody said, if you think that wasn't scripted, you've got another thing coming. Some of the things we do are scripted. That, no, certainly wasn't.
No,
the goodness of his own heart, because I was so hot.
Yeah, he went to the bar, got himself several beers, and came back with some ice for Dan. So there we go. Right, Venture Cyclist, underneath the Rad Race video, where Hank went to Berlin and raced Fixies, he said, "Insane. Not just the line, but the whole video. The production team needs a big shout out for this level of editing and filming." So there you go. A big shout out to our production team. Yeah,
They are increasingly having to make up for our shortfalls and still managing to make the videos look really good, aren't they?
I know.
So they are doing a cracking job.
Yeah, so thank you from us, as well as Venture Cyclist.
And finally, underneath last week's kind of live studio audience show, we actually had a comment about the main subject, which was budget caps. Earthstick put, "If a budget cap were brought in and the next scandals to hit pro cycling would be budget doping."
You know it, Earthstick. Absolutely, 100% budget doping would be a thing, wouldn't it?
Would be, yeah. Right, coming up on the channel this week, then we'll start with Wednesday, where Si gets to look at a brand new product. Now, we can't give you any details,
None
I'm
at
afraid.
all.
I'm gonna give them one clue.
What?
It's really good, but not quite good enough for you to beat Chris Opie in a sprint.
Well, no, it's not an unlimited e-bike. But otherwise, it could be anything, and it might help. Yes. Anyway, yeah, what else is coming up?
Well, on Thursday, if we manage to get through it when we film it in time, we have got a Tour of Flanders preview show, which should start off fine with introductions, but might get a little bit slurry towards the end as we're making our predictions or saying we think that Mathieu van der Poel might win on Sunday. Friday, as ever, is Ask GCN Anything.
Yeah, on Saturday, we've got strength training on the bike. Is it fact or is it fiction? Chris Opie and Hank delve into that one. Then on Sunday, we've got the most English epic ride ever. Jeremy Powers, the US cyclocross legend, came over, and I basically tried to make the most English ride possible. So that's definitely worth a watch. And then of course, Monday and Tuesday is the racing news show, where I guess we find out whether our predictions came true. And then Tuesday's the GCN show.
Did you stop for mid-ride scones?
We did!
Did you really?
Yeah, of course we did, mate. Cream tea and Wurtleberry jam.
No wonder he scooted off back to the US pretty quick sharp after our visit. We shall finish, as ever, with Extreme Corner, where to start with, we are going to relive Bonifaccio's epic Cipressa descent.
Ready?
Oh! I still expect him to come up every time I see it, but he somehow managed to keep it upright. And then the second part of Extreme Corner is reliving Steve on the treadmill.
Ridiculous, okay. Well, oh, get out of here. No.
Which is as extreme as it gets, isn't it?
Yeah,
The state of that.
so strange.
The state of that.
Yeah.
He's a great bloke, but I'm going to remind him of that treadmill every time I see him for the rest of his life.
Yeah, we should put Ollie on that treadmill and see what happens.
That's very true. Yeah, as soon as he gets back from Taipei, he's going straight on it.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Ollie, we're going to throw to his video very shortly indeed. First up, a reminder, you can get these cobbled t-shirts over at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. And to like this video, if you've liked it.
That's right. And then of course, as Dan said, instead, do make sure you check out Ollie's awesome Sacalobra video where he tried to break the 30-minute barrier to secure his best ever time.